Good evening, everyone. Brewmaster here with another great ale review. Tonight, for your viewing pleasure, I bring you one from the Blue Mountain Brewery's Barrel House collection. This is Dark Hollow. And now, this is a special edition of Dark Hollow. Normally, it is just a, well, I won't say just because it's a pretty special beer all around, but normally it is an Imperial Stout aged in oak bourbon barrels. That's what it is. But this one is an Imperial Stout aged in oak bourbon barrels with chocolate and coffee. Let us see here. This liquid is the alpha and the omega. You need nothing else. Our flagship Imperial Stout has been aged in charred American oak bourbon barrels with African cacao nibs and locally roasted coffee. Dark, bitter cocoa blends with sweet malt, robust coffee mellows in the presence of oak-imparted vanilla and bourbon flavors. Enjoy this ale at the end of a fine meal with good friends. Let's see here. It says also, this beer is alive. Please ensure it has been kept in good storage conditions. Barrel House beers are bottled with a portion of live beer and undergo bottle re-fermentation. If the bottom layer of yeast is disturbed during handling, allow the beer to settle upright for a few days before consumption. Extended cool cellaring of this beer is possible, but drink by the date stamped on the cork for peak flavor. It comes in at 10% ABV, it is 70 international bittering units, and it is 23.5 Plato original gravity. Let's see, this stuff is brewed in Nelson County at the Blue Mountain Brewery, which opened in 2007. It is not brewed in their original brew house, which is the Nelson, I guess, the Blue Mountain Brewery. This is it's brewed just down the road in the Blue Mountain Barrel House. It's a brewery that specializes in barrel aging. Right around the cork here, you can see Best Buy 2016. So, I think they're pretty safe with that date. I think this could be aged quite a lot longer. Let's get a pour with this one and see what it looks like. I'm pretty excited. I've never tried this. I've had the Dark Hollow many times, and it is delicious. And I'm very curious to see if it has improved with the aging on the cacao nibs and the coffee. Some of these are really tight, but some aren't. This one's not too bad. Let's see. A little bit of smoke. Wow, I can smell that already. Pretty cool. Label. This is a big bottle, and it's a pretty high ABV. I'll probably try to stick to the house when drinking this one for sure. Definitely do not drive. It's pouring a very dark black. You can see a little light through the pour, but that's a pretty thin stream, so probably quite enough for now. Well, I can smell it from here. Got about a half a finger of tiny bubbles. It is a very, very dark mocha. Now this beer is a very dark pitch black. There's no sign or hints of any color through it whatsoever. Now I know usually stout stout season is winter, and winter is now past, but I like them all year round. They're one of my favorite styles for sure, and so I'll get some and keep them. I already know from the smell that I'm going to get some more of this one. I want to age it for a while and see what it tastes like later. But let's go ahead and get a nose on this one and see what it smells like. Oh, that is so rich and very, very complex. Dark, super malty, very dark roast. A lot of very fresh coffee. You can definitely smell that oak. The vanilla, molasses, caramel. It's good. It smells like it might be a little bitter, but the malt sweetness might counteract that. Slightly sweet smell to it. Lots of vanilla and oak. You can definitely smell the bourbon also. Let's get a taste, see what this one tastes like. Wow. Flavor explosion. I'll say first off, very thick, very heavy mouthfeel. Very, very super strong roastedness. Slightly bitter. Whoa. More than slightly bitter. As it starts to fade, you really get a kick with that bitterness. Combined, I think, from the very dark roasted malt and the coffee. The coffee they put in here was some very, very, very dark coffee. And I don't think they skimped on it. There was a good bit of coffee in here to get this kind of flavor. Like some espresso. You do get a little bit of the vanilla coming through. Definitely some of the bourbon and the char from the barrels. Some of that bitter, sort of an olivey kind of a taste from the oak. Very slick. Very, very slick mouthfeel. If you guys watched the last video, you could tell I was a little under the weather. I still am a little bit, but starting to fade. I'm so glad. I think it was bronchitis, but I didn't go to a doctor. I normally don't. I try not to anyway. But I'm starting to feel better, and this beer tastes good. I'll tell you honestly, this is going to be one that's quite a task to finish. It is a very stout, very rich Imperial Stout. Almost a dessert beer for sure. There's a good bit of sweetness to it. It's kind of odd that it can taste so sweet right out front. So much vanilla. And then bang. As you swallow and the sweet and vanilla fades, you just get hit in the mouth by the dark, dark bitter malt and the coffee. Very tasty. I don't know. I don't know if I like it better than normal Dark Hollow or not, because I think the coffee and the vanilla hide the bourbon flavor a lot. I don't get a whole bunch of bourbon in the flavor. I do taste it, but normally you really get a lot of bourbon, a really smooth bourbon whiskey taste to it, and this one doesn't have as much. I really like the normal Dark Hollow. I really like this one also, but I don't know. I think I like the original Dark Hollow more. Not that this isn't tasty and very unique. I'll have to let it warm up and see if it changes. Alright guys, I'm back. I've let this warm up to probably about 60 degrees. The flavor profile has changed somewhat, and the smell has also. I think that the bourbon definitely comes out more as it warms, and in addition the chocolate also comes out. I didn't taste much chocolate initially with the when it was very cold, which I served probably at about 47, 48 degrees. Excuse me, which is probably a little cold for an Imperial Stout in the first place. So the flavors were a little subdued, but the chocolate, the cacao nubs definitely come out now. It gets just a tiny bit sweeter. A little of the bitterness fades, a little more smooth, a little more of the bourbon comes out. The coffee is definitely there, but the bitterness is a little less. I think this is definitely an Imperial Stout that you need to let warm up just a little. It's probably best served at 50 to 55 degrees. I would say, for my taste anyway. Let it warm up. It gets a lot more smooth. The bourbon comes out more. The vanilla helps smooth it a lot more. The coffee is still there, but it's more like coffee now instead of the bitterness that I got from it before. All in all, very delectable, very tasty, very heavy mouthfeel, lots of vanilla, lots of that olivey, sort of an oak flavor. There's lots of coffee, very dark, somewhat bitter roast. It's a very delicious beer. If you guys like Imperial Stouts and you're looking for something to age and see what it tastes like later, I think this is a prime candidate. It's very good now. I think, though, with a year, even 2 years, this would be a top-rated Imperial Russian Stout. Well, maybe not Russian, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that, but an Imperial Stout. It's very, very good. Very, very good. I would have to rate this, once warmed up, to, like I said, this is probably very close to 60 degrees. Probably 57, 58 degrees. Once warmed up to this point, an 89 or a 90. Very, very good. Thanks, guys. I've been Brewmaster. Cheers. Have a wonderful night.